Hey everyone, it's Habiba here, back at you with another video. So welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. I hope everyone has had a great start to 2025. I'm so excited to be back at you with another video. So today's video is called What's Told to You in Secret Remains a Secret Unless... Alright, so we're going to get into that in just a minute. You know, I had recorded this video some time ago only to find out that the audio wasn't recording. So of course I was so frustrated. It was such an annoying thing, but you know, we persevere. So I had to change things up a little bit. And yeah, what you see here is from the video that I recorded. And anyway, so I decided to do this as a voiceover, and I'm gonna find some stock images and footage to put in here. So let's get into the video. What's told to you in secret remains a secret unless... And I'm gonna frame this video in the context of an amana. So you know, when I was thinking about this topic and putting it together for you all, I thought of this concept in Islam called amana. You know, for the Muslims watching this, perhaps you're a little familiar. You know, an amana, it's a trust, right? It's a trust. It's something that's entrusted to you. So for example, your family, it's something entrusted to you. You know, these are people who are entrusted to you, so you have to protect them. If you're married, your spouse is an amana. You know, husband, your wife, she's an amana to you. She's entrusted to you, as are your children. So you have a duty to protect these people, you know. And so as I'm doing this video, think about that, you know. If, for example, if you have a friend, your friend is also an amana. Friendships, they are an amana. What's told to you in the friendship, you need to protect it. You need to honor it. These are very sacred relationships, you know, sacred matters. They are trusts. So on that note, I want to say, don't weaponize relationships against people. Yes, don't take advantage of these personal relationships you have with people, and don't weaponize them against people either, because it's one of the most hurtful things you can do to someone. And now, don't weaponize information that's told to you in those relationships either. Because you know, what happens in close relationships, for example, in close friendships, what happens? It's that you trust the person so much. Sometimes you confide in them. And you know, at times we all need someone to confide in. It's a normal human thing, you know, to want to confide in someone. Sometimes we all need a listening ear from time to time. Choose wisely who your listening ear is going to be. That's one thing I'd like to say. But you know, you should never weaponize information that's told to you in a personal relationship, like in a friendship. And I'll give some examples of how that plays out in real life. Okay. So for example, you know, in a marriage, the husband could tell the wife, I'm triggered by ABC, don't do this, you know, like don't, please, if we have any arguments, let's resolve them on our own. Let's find a way to sort it out in the marriage. Don't run to my family each and every time we have an argument, you know, because perhaps it's very triggering for him or something like that. And then the wife does exactly that. Every time they have a small argument, large or small, you know, she runs to his family to tattletale on him, basically. You know, like a little kid behavior, to tell on him. People do this. You'd be surprised. Grown people tattletaling like little kids, you know, and then only to stay with him in the end. Or maybe the husband does that to his wife, going to tell on her to his family or to her family, whatever the case may be, only to stay in the marriage with that person. But then you, because then what that does is you sully like your family's image, of that person, of your spouse, you know, like you create a negative image of them in the eyes of other people. And sometimes you can forget about it, or maybe you guys make up, but the family, the third parties, they will still have that negative. You're kind of tarnishing the person in the eyes of other people. So it's really awful. So that's one example. That's one way it plays out sometimes. Or, you know, maybe there are two friends, two very close friends, and now one friend confides in the other friend who says, you know what, I I don't really get on with so and so. I had a bad experience with this person in the past. We don't get along, like I'm just being frank with you. I keep my distance from that person. We're not on talking terms, or they're ops, it's the person's op, as they say, like in urban talk, the person's ops, right? And then the friend rushes to that person to say, oh, you wouldn't believe what so-and-so told me, or whatever, right after the friend, the one who confided, made it very clear, I don't speak to this person for whatever reason. We had a bad experience in the past. So those kind of things, weaponizing information or weaponizing relationships against people. Guys, be very mindful of this. There's too much of this in friendships, in families, in the world around us. Sometimes two people have an excellent relationship, and the moment a third party is introduced, all hell breaks loose. Wahala, as Nigerian people say, So don't do that. Don't try to set family members against each other. Don't try to set best friends against each other. Don't try to set spouses against each other. Don't be a third party interferer in people's lives, because you're preparing yourself for something somewhere. And that something is not good. Yeah, I'm speaking in parables here a little bit, but you know what I'm saying. You're preparing yourself for something somewhere, and that's not good. Be a positive influence in people's lives. Be someone who reconciles people. Be someone who brings people together. If there are warring parties, warring factions, try to be like, have a conciliatory role. Be someone who reconciles people. There's blessings in that, to reconcile. Don't sow seeds of division in people's lives. Don't try to set children against their parents. Don't try to set mothers or fathers against their children. Don't create dramas in people's lives because you're miserable. And also have a very discerning eye. Those of you who value your peace, okay? If you value your peace, have a very discerning eye for people who, for whatever reason, they're so destabilized within themselves. They are so destabilized in their minds. People like that, they like drama, and they can pretend. They can, have this facade of peace and okay. But look out for the little things, because sometimes they create dramas out of nowhere, and they know how to disturb people's peace, and they do sneaky things. I don't like sneaky behaviors either. They do sneaky things like, okay, and this is going to lead me to my next point. They do sneaky things like perhaps they have the phone number or the contact information of someone with whom you have a close relationship, right? And they know that person through you. So maybe like a family member. Your friend has your family member's contact information, your parents' contact information. They know your family through you, but now they go behind your back and contact your mom or something like that to tell on you, to tattletale on you. What kind of behavior is that? What do you guys make of that kind of behavior? Put it in the comments. I want to know your experiences with this kind of stuff. Be mindful of people who do those shady things, and then they can be texting you at the same time, like, oh, hey, yeah, like a very, as if everything is okay. You guys are just having your usual, conversations, just fine, easy conversations. But they've gone behind your back to tattletale to your family about something. That's very shady, deceptive. I have zero tolerance for that kind of stuff. Okay, so this leads me to my next point, which is know who the relationship is through. What do I mean by that? Know who the relationship is through. Okay, if you happen to know your friend's family, for example, your relationship with their family is through your friend. Never forget that. How did you meet your friend's family? Through your friend? You know your friend's mother. How did you meet her mother? It's through her. At a certain point in your friendship, she felt, this person is close enough with me. I don't mind introducing them to my mother. And when you come to the house, you happen to see her parents and you get kind of close. Maybe it's just a matter of time. that you get her mother's phone number or her email or something like that. Never weaponize that contact information. Okay? Okay? Don't do that. Always know who the relationship is through. You know, a lot of people in life, they struggle with this. I realize a lot of people don't get this. They don't know who relationships are through. They don't understand boundaries when it comes to this kind of stuff. When it comes to, you know, third-party stuff and like being a third party in someone's life, in someone's life. A lot of people don't get this. For example, spouses. This is a very good example and a very clear and easy to understand example. Your spouse's friends are not your friends. They're not your friends. Don't get it twisted. Don't ever start thinking, oh, they're my friend. They're not your friend. Did you know them before your spouse? Did you know them through university? Were you guys like in undergrad together or something? No. How did you meet them? Through your spouse. Husbands, if your wife has friends and, you know, they come to the house for dinner, you know, so you get to know them a little bit because they come to your house to eat. Maybe you guys go to certain events together, that kind of thing. They are your wife's friends. They are your wife's friends. Never mix that up. Likewise, wives, your husband's friends, they're not your friends. You know them. They come to the house for dinner. Maybe you eat with them. You chit-chat a little bit. That's very beautiful, you know. And you should always be very polite and have a lot of manners and good etiquette. In Islam, it's called adab, you know. Have very good adab. Have good manners. Husbands, when your wife's friends come along, greet them in a nice way. Sit with them, maybe, depending on like how, you know, what you and your spouse decide. Maybe you sit with them at the table a little bit, you eat with them. Don't start having their Facebook and their LinkedIn and their social media. It's not necessary. They're not your friends. You don't need to talk to them outside of the dinner table when they're no longer at your house for dinner. You don't need to have any, you don't need to say, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, Eid Mubarak. No, it's not necessary at all. You don't need to do that. Don't get it twisted. Always know who the relationship is through, because, you know, unfortunately, people, a lot of people don't have a good sense of that, and then they start messing things up. So, you know, keep it clean, keep it tight, you know. Don't get, and you know, and even, for example, because, you know, it's good, yeah, I like giving these examples. If for whatever reason you need to contact your spouse's friend because maybe he works in a certain industry, you need to know something about that industry, you want some advice, you speak to your husband first. You say, hey, do you mind if I can contact your friend so-and-so, Adam? Like, I need his perspective on this. Or, I don't know, maybe he's some kind of handyman. He can help fix this. Show your spouse that you respect them. Speak to them first, you know. Likewise, husbands. Don't take advantage of your wife's relationship with her friends. Don't, you know, even if you happen to have their contact on your phone, their number or their LinkedIn, or which I'd kind of advise against. But anyway, if you happen to have their, don't just reach out to them. Hey, I want to talk to you about something, or can you give me some advice on this? Or I'm working on this project. I see you've done similar projects. What's your opinion on this? No, 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 no. You speak to your wife first. If you happen to know that person through your wife, you say, hey, wifey, you know, I'm working on this project. I think your friend so-and-so, she may be able to assist. What do you think? Do you mind if I reach out to her, or something along those lines? Okay? Don't start messing up relationships between people. It's one of the most hurtful things you can do. So, those are some examples of how these things play out in real life. And now another example, something else that I want to share. Yeah, you know, and now if you have a crush, okay, this is a very important one. People, listen closely. If you have a crush, you know, there's someone you want to get to know better, and, you know, you have good intentions towards that person. For example, we as Muslims, you know, we have this concept of fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah. You want to get to know someone of the opposite gender. You're looking for a spouse, perhaps. You want to get to know this person fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah. And this is encouraged in Islam, right? It's encouraged to do that, right? Okay. And so, what do you do sometimes? Sometimes, naturally, you'll ask someone for assistance, someone close to you, a friend. You'll say, I like this person. Can you help me get to know them? Or maybe you think your friend knows them or somehow knows them, or maybe knows somebody who knows them. So you may ask for an introduction, right? Now, imagine now if you tell your friend you have a crush on so-and-so, on said person, on the person in question. First of all, to have a crush, those of us, it's something, it's so delicate. These matters of the heart, love, romance, etc. These are such delicate matters. People become so vulnerable. We're opening up ourselves, which is fine, because that's part of life. We're here to be vulnerable sometimes, to have courage. That's all part of the human experience. And you can. Just a quick side note, you cannot go forward in life and get what you want out of life and meet who you're meant to meet in life and form the relationships with whom you're meant to form relationships in life if you're scared of being vulnerable, if you're scared of ever having courage, if you're scared of speaking to people. Yes, so it's totally fine to be vulnerable, to have courage. But like I said, these are delicate matters. So if someone brings you in to ask for your help, treat it well. Don't turn into a villain. Don't become diabolical with it. So, okay, now back to the example I'm giving. If your friend says, I have a crush on so-and-so, can you help me? Can you imagine now if your so-called friend takes advantage of that information, weaponizes it to then cause harm, to use that information to their advantage, to go and basically hit on your crush, to go and mess things up. Meanwhile, they claim to have been helping you. That's a terrible thing. That's a terrible, terrible thing. And perhaps, oh God. Anyway, so a quick best practice for this. Friends listening to this, ask an older person. Yeah. Ask an older person. Ask someone who is older than you. Do not ask your age mate. Do not ask your friends out there. Ask someone who's old enough to be your parent or grandparents. Ask the elders. Ask your parents, or maybe if you're not living with your parents or something, you're like, you've migrated, or ask elders. Ask community elders. Ask people at the mosque you trust. And not just elders, but people you trust. This thing about trust, I cannot stress it enough. Ask people you think are correct, people who you think are correct, like upright sort of thing. Maybe an imam at the mosque. Keep this stuff away from your friends. If you have a love interest, if you want to get to know someone fi sabilillah, don't say it to any of your friends. Don't say anything, okay? You don't know people spiritually, and let me tell you, be careful. A lot of people are not good. Let me just leave it at that. Okay? So, quick best practice, ask an older person who you truly believe is upright and, can help you. And now those of you who are out there weaponizing things against people, weaponizing love interests, just doing all kinds of weaponizing and taking advantage. Be careful. Have fear. Fear God. Maybe a lot of people don't believe in God or whatever. But the funny thing is that very often it's people who claim to be into God. It's people who claim to be religious in whatever way, who very often weaponize and cause harm and deep emotional pain, and who sow the seeds of division in people's lives. This stuff, it rebounds, it ricochets, okay? And when it does, it ricochets 100 times over, 1,000,000 times over. So be careful. Be careful. Like I said, be a blessing in people's lives. Be a blessing in people's lives. More on that later. Perhaps I'll come back to that topic another time. So now, let's get to the last part of the title. What's this video called? What's told to you in secret remains a secret unless, let's get to the unless part right now. Unless it's like a matter of life or death. You see what I'm saying? You know, you have a friend who tells you they've been feeling, you know what? Let me try to spell it out. I don't want to say the word here online. They've been feeling SUI. You get what I'm saying? They've been feeling SUICI, and I'll let you complete it. Of course, you're going to rush to their family and say, oh my God, do you guys know? Or you're going to rush to some trusted person, or maybe encourage your friend to get set up with therapy or something along those lines. You're going to want an intervention for your friend. Because if your friend tells you that, it's desperation, you know, it's an urgent matter. Or if you see someone you know on the street taking you know what, and you know they're just kind of like deteriorating, you're not going to let them fall apart like that. No. So that's part of the unless. If there's a matter of life or death, or you really see someone struggling to the point where it's as if they're losing themselves, you know, they're really losing themselves, they're really deteriorating, you're not going to stand by and watch. You're going to mobilize a group of friends, of family members, of people who care for that person, you know. So that's the unless, you know, everyone here, I suspect, is smart enough to judge whether it's like an extreme situation. But now these little things that you can resolve on your own, you have arguments with people, you have just whatever, with stuff within friendships, stuff within marriages, stuff within families. Stop trying to turn people against other people. Okay? I can't say it enough. Don't do that. Remember this concept of amana that I spoke to you guys about at the beginning. Don't weaponize sensitive information against people. You will pay for it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, I'm going to tune out. I'm going to sign out now. So it's great coming back and, you know, sharing with you guys again. So remember to drop your thoughts in the comments. Remember to like, to subscribe, to check out my other content on the channel, and to stay tuned for more. I have more coming at you very soon. Thanks, guys, for listening, and take care. Thanks. Bye.